Act 1, Scene 3. Same day, hospital ward, early afternoon. The hospital ward where the patients will be living is clean and undecorated, sanitary, utilitarian, efficient, with nothing colorful or comforting anywhere. 4 neatly made beds are arranged in pairs, 2 stage right for the girls and 2 stage left for the boys. Between them is an open space, a kind of neutral ground between the genders. Beside each bed is a small nightstand. On the 4th wall is a large window facing west. 4 teenagers follow Nurse Lisa into the room where they will be staying as patients in Dr. Carey's residential program. Their eyes glance around as they walk, trying to get their bearings in this unfamiliar place. Right behind Lisa walks Stephanie, a young, sweet-faced girl pulling her suitcases. She's dressed in practical clothes, comfortable and made to last. Lorca follows, looking focused and serious. She wears sophisticated clothes in dramatic colors. Strapped to one suitcase is a portable easel. Neil ambles in, wearing a flowered Hawaiian shirt, Bermuda shorts, and sandals. Even in winter, he dresses like that. All of his things are in a black garbage bag thrown over his shoulder. In his other hand is an expensive leather travel bag for his gaming console. Last is Greg in faded jeans and a t-shirt. Slung over his shoulder is a military duffel bag, and he carries a guitar in a cheap case. With a wide, expansive sweep of her arm, Lisa says, "Here you are, ladies and gentlemen, your new home." Greg looks around and says with a smirk, "Nice, nice. My favorite decor, institutional bleak." The others don't react to him, too preoccupied with processing their new reality. Pointing stage right center, Lisa tells the girls, "Ladies, your bathroom, closets, and bureaus are right through there." Pointing stage left center, she says, "Gentlemen, yours are over there. The day room is just across the hall. We call it the day room, but you can go there anytime. There's maid service once a day, room service when necessary, and yes, they do windows. Kind of like a luxury hotel." The teens smile wanly, glad she's friendly and funny, but feeling anxious nonetheless. Lisa knows. It's always like this. It's one thing to have hope and a good chance at help, and quite another to step into the unknown future and hear the door close behind you. She also knows she can help make this transition easier for them in her own small way. With exaggerated solemnity, she announces, "And now, here's the really important part. I'm going to officially assign each of you a bed. Once I do, you can't switch. Otherwise, we might inject, extract, or cut something off the wrong person. Nobody wants that. It makes for a lot of paperwork." Walking to the bed farthest stage right, Lisa says, "Okay, here we go. Lorca, you're here. Stephanie, this is yours." The girls murmur their thanks and put their suitcases on their beds. Moving across to the bed stage left, Lisa says, "Neil, you're over here, so Greg—" "I'm here," Greg says, slinging his duffel bag onto the bed farthest stage left and propping his guitar case against the nightstand. Neil drops his garbage bag on the floor beside his bed, then flops down on his covers with his gaming bag in hand. "Well, I'm unpacked," he says. Lisa gives him a smile, then turns her attention back to the business at hand. "At the head of each bed are 2 call buttons," she says, picking one up. "Reds for emergencies, greens for general stuff. Don't hesitate to use them, but please try to press the right one. Any questions?" Seeing none, she continues. "Dr. Carey will be by to check on you sometime this afternoon. Make yourselves comfortable, and welcome to Grace Memorial." And with that, she slips out of the room, leaving the ward feeling strangely quiet. Lisa has been their first contact with Grace, a familiar face guiding them through a maze of corridors and carefully settling them into their room. Now they've been left alone with strangers. It's time to start putting things away. No one talks at first. They're busy organizing their own small space, establishing whatever comfort and order they can create for themselves. Greg wanders to the window and looks out. Ah, what a relief! Close enough to civilization to know I'm not stuck out in the boonies, but high enough so no one can bother me, and nothing blocks the view. There's something about horizons. Gotta have a horizon. Looking down, he exclaims, "Oh, hey, a pizza parlor! I could go for that." Stephanie stops unpacking and hurries over to take a look. "Ooh, I love pizza," she squeals. Then her face changes and she takes a step away. "Except we're on a special diet," she says. "Are you saying you'll never have pizza again?" Greg asks. "Well, as long as I'm here." I agreed. You did too, by the way. Yeah, but I didn't mean forever. Things change and I go with it, like the wind. I go wherever it blows, so I never say never. Ever. "It's only for as long as you're here," Stephanie says. Greg looks thoughtful for a moment, letting reality penetrate his denial a little, and then says quietly, "Right." From his bed, Neil calls, "Hey, Greg, I brought my Fusion 6. Did you play?" Greg turns with a grin. "Heck yeah," he says, striding over to examine the unit. "What a beauty. Is this the latest model?" "Yeah, Faraday shields and all." "Lucky dog," Greg says, turning the unit over in his hands. Neil grins. "My parents got it for me because I'm dying. It's one of the perks." Greg gives a low whistle. "Wow, sure beats the heck out of my old console. What games do you have?" "Here, take a look," says Neil, pushing the case toward Greg. "My all-time favorite is Death Drop. I love that game." While the boys exclaim over games, the girls continue unpacking. Lorca puts her watercolor brushes in a can and sets it on her nightstand. Into the top drawer, she puts her books. Then she starts going in and out, hanging clothes in the closet. Stephanie unzips a suitcase and carefully pulls out a white stuffed toy cat. "I miss you, Hope," she whispers, looking into its blank blue eyes. "I wish you were here right now." "Are you talking to me?" Lorca asks, pulling more clothes out of her suitcase. "No," says Stephanie. I was talking to my toy cat." "Oh," says Lorca, disinterested. "You can tell a lot about a person by what they bring," says Stephanie. "Greg brought a guitar, Neil brought games, you brought art supplies and a lot of books. I brought a stuffed toy cat. It's stupid, I know, but I love my real kitty. I thought it would help me feel closer to home or something. Stupid, isn't it? Do you have a cat?" "I prefer horses," Lorca says, without looking up. "Oh, I love horses. Do you ride?" "No, my mother was afraid I'd get my brains kicked out. Besides, there's no room for horses where I lived." "I'm from Findlay," Stephanie offers. "That's nice," Lorca says, without meaning it. Stephanie rummages through her suitcase and pulls out a small photo album. "Look, here's a picture of my house and backyard." Lorca takes a step away from the photos. "Oh," she says, "it's very rural." "We have raccoons and blue herons and lots of deer," Stephanie continues. "Deer are so lovely, but they eat the roses. Where are you from?" "New York City." "Wow, you're a long way from home." "Yes, but it's no big deal." Stephanie looks at her cat. "I really miss my family. And my little kitty Hope. I'm homesick already." "You just got here." "I know." Feeling very alone, Stephanie sits quietly on her bed for a moment. Then she gets up, puts the pictures in her top drawer, her Bible on her nightstand, and resolutely resumes putting her things away. As she finds a place for each item, she sings to encourage herself. The others do not hear her song, but they begin to hum along without realizing it or engaging with anyone else. Though they are still isolated from one another, this is a foreshadowing of the relationships to come. It also shows that the presence of each person can affect the others in gently comforting ways.
If you're feeling out of place and your heart's about to break, there's a comfort you can take. You're God's original. When confusion breaks you down and you can't get off the ground, there's a wonder to be found. You're God's original. There's no one else like you in all the earth. There's no one else like you in the universe. The stars have nothing on you. He wants you to know that you're His original. You're God's original. If you're feeling alone and scared and no one seems to care, there's a truth you can declare. You're God's original. He loves you, and that's forever. He made you His very own. Stars have nothing on you. He wants you to know that you're His original. You're God's original. You're God's original. Yes, you're God's original. You're God's original.
The atmosphere immediately changes as Dr. Carey strides briskly into the room. All her movements are quick and hard. She questions the patients and checks their eyes with a pen light, making notations on a clipboard. She does not touch the patients. She rarely even looks at them, except as subjects to evaluate. The teens sit on their beds and watch her. She is an intimidating and formidable presence. Good afternoon, Lorca, she says, preparing to write on her clipboard. Any more muscle cramps since I saw you last? No, Lorca replies, sitting up straighter. Nausea, tinnitus, headaches? Moderate tinnitus. Balance? Good. Chris turns and flips a page on her clipboard. Glancing at her patient, she says, Stephanie? Hi, Stephanie says, forcing a small smile. Any muscle cramps since I saw you last? No cramps, Stephanie says. Nausea, tinnitus, headaches? I had one small headache yesterday. How long did it last? About an hour. How severe? Pretty bad. On a scale of 1 to 10? A 7 or an 8? Which is it? 7, I guess. And I was a little lightheaded, sort of dizzy, or that's to be expected. Balance? A little clumsy, but I've always been. Thank you, Stephanie, Chris says, already moving on. Neil? Neil consults his small notebook. No cramps, no nausea, one headache yesterday at 2:57 p.m., level 8, duration 12 minutes, 19 seconds. Moderate tinnitus, no change there. Balance is good. Chris nods. Good. Greg? Greg puts on an engaging smile. Good day, Dr. Carey. You're looking spectacularly professional this afternoon. Chris ignores him. Any cramps? No to all of the above. Nausea, tinnitus, headaches? No, I'm fine, thank you. I'm actually very fine, in case you haven't noticed. And how are you? Fine, Chris snaps. I agree, Greg says, with a toothy grin. Chris does not acknowledge him. Turning away, she scans the room. Any questions? Greg raises a hand. Stephanie wants to know if we can have pizza. Chris wheels around and moves toward Stephanie. Absolutely not. Horrified, Stephanie says, I didn't. Wheat causes your platelets to agglutinate and lodge in your joints, significantly increasing your pain. Pepperoni, salami, ham, sausage all contain BHT and nitrates, which are neurotoxins, and their saturated fats strip insulation from your nerves. Furthermore, you are lactose intolerant, so cheese is toxic to you. Pizza crust is comprised of refined flour, which turns rapidly to sugar, and sugar in any form taxes your pancreas and raises your overall acidity. All of these things increase inflammation, stress your liver, weaken your immune system, and activate symptoms that are both agonizing and avoidable. Pizza is absolutely forbidden. Is this understood, Stephanie? But I didn't. Is this understood? Yes, ma'am, Stephanie says, in a very small voice. Chris glances at the others. Any other questions? No one moves. No one breathes. Good. I'll check you tomorrow after reviewing your test results. With that, she strides out of the room. The teens sit in stunned silence. Stephanie glares across the room. Why'd you do that, Greg? Do what? Make Dr. Carey think I wanted pizza. Well, don't you? But I'm not going to. I told you that. I'm helping you out. You need a reputation. Stephanie's eyes flash. Don't ever do that again. Greg looks away and says sarcastically, Welcome to Camp Minnehaha, the place of 1,000 laughs. I do hope they have a tennis court and a spa, Neil says in a lazy voice. It's so hard to keep in shape these days. He leans back onto his bed, doing his best to look like a rich tourist lounging by the pool in his colorful Hawaiian shirt. All the comforts of a luxury resort at your disposal, sir, Greg says with a slight bow. If you need anything, just call me. What shall I call you? Cabana Boy, says Greg with a deeper bow. Righto, Cabana Boy. Greg gives him a military salute. Neil nods and grabs his garbage bag and goes off to put his things away. Greg saunters towards the girls. In a silky voice, he asks, "So, do you girls come here often?" Lorca doesn't even look at him. "Are you always this unoriginal, or is this your idea of a viable coping mechanism?" Greg's eyes light up. "I love it when you use big words. It's so stimulating. Intellectually, of course. Be nice to me, and I'll teach you how to play guitar." "I already know how to play guitar," Lorca says flatly. She pulls a bright purple shirt from her suitcase and shakes it out. Greg looks at it admiringly and says, "I see you like color." "That is one of the singularly least original, uninsightful observations I've ever heard," she retorts. Folding his arms, Greg challenges, "Okay then, you take a shot. Say something original and insightful." Without interrupting her unpacking, Lorca says impassively, "Color is the one thing that never disappoints. It simply exists, makes no demands, and because it exists, the world is a better place." Greg looks thoughtful. "Wow, that's actually pretty good." "At least one of us is original," she says, walking away. Greg rubs his arms. "Sure is cold in here." Turning, he picks up Stephanie's toy cat. "I see you like cats," he says with an inviting smile. "I do too. Want to go for a walk and talk about cats?" "You're odd," Stephanie says, retrieving Hope from his arms. "First you try to get me in trouble, and now you're trying to start something?" Greg shrugs. "Isn't that why we're here? I heard it was a great place to pick up girls." Stephanie looks directly into his eyes. "I'm willing to talk to you, Greg, but only if you're willing to be real." Greg opens his arms wide. "Ta-da! Here I am. All Greg, all real, all the time." Stephanie tilts her head. "Oh, you poor thing. I'm so sorry for you." "Ugh, Stephanie, that's hurtful," Greg moans, clutching his chest. Neil hurries over. "Are you okay, Cabana Boy? I thought I heard you cry out in pain." Stephanie looks at them. "See? This is what I'm talking about. How can we get to know each other if you won't be serious?" "I want to be serious," Neil says. "It's just that most people aren't worthy of my seriosity." "What do I have to do to be worthy?" Stephanie asks. "If I told you, that would be cheating, because then you'd know what I was looking for, and I'd never know if you were just pretending to be that way so you could get on my serious side, or if you were really, truly worthy." "Oh, well, I hope I am. I'd like to get to know you. You seem like a very interesting person." "I'm really not," Neil says. "I bet you are. Everybody has a story." "Not me. I don't have a story." "Is this because you want me to leave you alone?" "You're smarter than you look," Neil says, walking away. Greg goes with him. Watching them go, Stephanie murmurs, "I think I'll talk to Lorca now." Lorca pauses in her unpacking. "Having trouble relating?" "Uh-huh," Stephanie says sadly. "What do you care? We're not here to make lifelong friends. This is a research unit, and we're the lab rats." "I was hoping we'd be able to share the moment." Lorca smirks. "You must be from California." "What do New Yorkers do?" "Mind our own business and try to not get hit by a taxi." "I guess I'm just a country girl," Stephanie says. "Where I'm from, people get to know each other. Some of our neighbors have lived there forever. They have so much wisdom." "Well, maybe where there's room, people can enjoy being close. In New York, it's so crowded, you have to carve out your own space." "I don't know if I could do that," Stephanie says. "You would if you had to." "Well, I hope I don't have to."